Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I didn't originally plan on making a video on this topic, but the sheer number and variety of places in which I've seen this being discussed lately has truly astounded me, and so today we're going to talk about the phenomenon of people recently discussing their interest in a Division 1 remaster, and, big surprise, I have a bit of a different take than the masses here, because at its core, I don't think people really care about a remaster for Division 1. Rather, I think it's an easy thing to attribute for what they actually really want, and so we're going to dive into that. Should be pretty fun. Let's go. Let's just start with my opinion on the matter. Do I want a Division 1 remaster? Not really. At least not in the sense of what a remaster traditionally is. And this is what I was just referencing a second ago about what it is that people really want. Because generally, a remaster is just an updating of a game's existing performance and graphics. And the truth is, Division is not that old. It's only been out for 5.5 years. And aside from some of the wonderful improvements they made to graphical fidelity, lighting, and all of that in Division 2, Division 1 is still a stunningly beautiful game. And unless you're on a PS5 or last-gen consoles, I'm not too sure about what more you could hope for from a performance boost, because on Xbox Series X and PC, beyond the graphical stuff I was just mentioning, it runs at a wonderfully smooth 60 FPS or above. So there's not really much else they could do, and not much incentive for like a traditional remaster. Personally, I've always been much more interested in seeing them produce something like a 1.7 legacy server for us PvP heads. This is something I raised with Julian Garrity on Twitter one time, that was probably over a year ago or something, who, if you don't know, is the former creative director on the Division 1 and 2, and of course that he isn't in the position to make something like that happen, but I at least, wanted the idea to be out there in the ether, in case something like that were to ever come up. Because if you weren't aware, the general consensus from the Division 1's PvP players is that patch 1.7 in the Division 1 saw the most balanced and most fun PvP ever in that game, both, across Last Stand and PvP, and arguably, I would say the best PvP in either Division 1 or 2, and it was really sad that it had such a short lifespan in between the larger patches of 1.6 and 1.8. So above anything else, I'd love to see a legacy server implemented where you could choose to go back and play in that sandbox with limited classifieds that had been released at that time, the quick time to kill it had, and just all of it. I don't expect many people to agree with me on that, and that's perfectly fine. But what I think a lot of us can probably agree on is that when people say that they want a remastered version of Division 1, it's that they really just want that game to continue on and receive the new updates rather than the Division 2. Now, if you're someone who wants a Division 1 remaster and that's not what you're talking about, then certainly let me know down below what you do intend to mean by that, because I don't really know what it would be because of the graphical stuff I was just mentioning. But that's what it boils down to, right? And I think this idea and this notion and this movement overall has really been exacerbated by the content drought we've been in for nearly 9 to 10 months now. It's already been the longest one we've ever seen in Division's history, including when they announced the Division 2, because we still got those minor content drops of 1.8.1 through 3, where they added like new legendary missions and global events and stuff like that. And at minimum, we're still 2.5 months out from this current one being over. So it's going to be a very long period, no doubt. Now, again, in regard to the Division 1 thing, this is all hypothetical. I don't really think we'd ever see Ubisoft decide to go back and continue updating the Division 1, realistically. I don't see any way in which that would really make financial sense for them, but entertaining the idea, I'm going to have to disagree. Again, if I had free reign on what I assign the developers within the Division universe to do or to go make, more content for the Division 1 would not be my choice, and maybe that surprises you. Don't get me wrong, between Division 1 and 2, Division 1 is absolutely still my favorite game, but that does not, I repeat, it does not mean it's without its issues. It has plenty of issues. I mean, why do you think so many of us were so excited for the Division 2 back when it was announced? Right? There was so much potential there. And to say that Division 2 made no improvements is simply an ignorant take. I'm sorry, it is. That certainly doesn't mean you have to like the game. Certainly not. But to say that it does nothing better than the Division 1, which is a comment that I've seen, more than once, is just ignorant. It's not the point of the video, but just to name a few things, like the character animations were much smoother. Enemy design and AI were much more dynamic and fun to fight. They were more challenging. Better overall PvE experiences across the board. Better networking. Rework to some of the source code. There's a lot of things like that. I think that we can agree we saw great evolutions from between the Division 1 and 2. And that is exactly why, if I were given the choice, would not go back and continue Division 1 content. Because as you may be able to tell from my still pinned video on the channel, I believe wholeheartedly that this franchise has so much storytelling and functional potential when it comes to the prospect of a Division 3 game. Perhaps most excitingly being that it would be their first chance at a fully next-gen Division game, cutting out the Xbox One and PS4 that held back both the Division 1 in terms of some of the open world stuff they tried to achieve in that original vision that we saw in the Division 2, where we saw some of the Dark Zone numbers being limited because of the graphical improvements they made and the further customization you were able to do to your agents limited them from being able to put as many people in one spot. Because ultimately, I'll tell you what people want. They want what that original 2013 E3 trailer for the Division 1 promised them. And I can guarantee that that will not come to life by going back 5.5 years in technology and revising a game that was constricted by an old generation of hardware. The way you get there is by moving forward, by developing a game that pushes the boundaries of what we've come to know within the world of the Division. And I would much rather see a project like that and with those possibilities be taken on and be committed to in the long term, rather than us go back to the past of what's already come and gone. Now, does that mean I don't miss the Division 1? Absolutely I miss it. I love that game and always will. It's my favorite game of all time. But all good things must come to an end. And even if that means waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 years until we see the time, resources, and care being able to be put into the true next-gen Division experience, I'm willing to pay that price. I'm willing to wait it out, because nothing they could ever do to the Division 1 at this point could replace the golden days of 1.7. Nothing could replace the ridiculous, priceless memories I made back in 1.1 and 1.2 when chaos and nonsense was the law of the DZ. And frankly, I wouldn't want it to, because there's always room for new adventures to be had and new memories to be forged. And maybe it's the riskier play to say I'd rather see a new chapter opened in the Division 3. It could fall on its face and not take advantage of the new possibilities it has, or finally deliver on that promise we got back in 2013. But what can I say? I suppose that's just the way that I am. And I'll keep dreaming of a wild, sprawling, and spectacular Division 3, even if no one else will. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on this whole Division 1 remaster conversation. Which side of the argument are you on? Do you agree with me that the claims of wanting a Division 1 remaster are really more of a symptom of a larger problem? Or do you legitimately want to go back to 2016's New York City and see what could be done there? Leave all of your thoughts down below. I'm very curious and slightly worried to see what everyone will have to say, but that's alright. This channel was made with discussion in mind, and as long as everything is kept respectfully, I invite any and all thoughts and opinions to be shared, even if they totally contradict those of my own, because that's how we end up with the best solutions. But yeah, everyone, I think that is going to wrap it up for this one. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.